All right, good morning, everyone. It is March the 23rd. It is 8:30 a.m. And I will bring the council meeting to order. We've got an agenda before us. Deletion will be 6.1, sale of properties. Are there any other? Yes, Councillor King.
I would like to add a verbal report on the Trochu Housing Corp. Was at a meeting yesterday.
All righty, so we will put that under new business 8.4, Trochu Housing Corp. Are there any other additions, deletions to the agenda? Councillor Christie.
I'll move the agenda as amended.
Okay, we have a motion to move the agenda as amended. All those in favor? And that is carried. Do we not have Councillor Hugo on screen?
No, not on screen yet, but I'm vocal.
Will was working on his computer when I was just in there.
Okay, all righty. So I take it you were an A or an A?
Hey, aye.
All righty, so that would be carried unanimously. We pre-circulated the minutes of the March 9th meeting. Are there any errors, omissions, concerns? Councillor King.
I'd make the motion to accept the March 9th regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, we have a motion before us to accept the minutes as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Transportation 4.1 gravel update. Lucky guy today, are you?
Morning, Council. Our Director of Transportation is unable to be here today, so Doug Brenda is going to walk us through this RFD.
Okay, anytime you're ready, Mr. Brenda.
At the October 20th, 2020 committee meeting, administration provided council a report on the Delia gravel stockpile. The report stated that in 2008, Nihil County entered into a 5-year agreement to purchase and stockpile gravel at the Delia area. In 2013, additional gravel was purchased utilizing the original 2008 contract. In 2019, Nihil County entered into an agreement with R&D Pilot Truck Services as the original contractor ended in 2013 for storage of the stockpile gravel. This agreement allowed Nihil County to remove and through the winter months and also allowed R&D Pilot to haul gravel to the Hiller stockpile site for the next 4 years at 10,000 ton per year at the cost favorable to the county. Gravel purchased in 2013 from Delia area was not meeting Nihil County's specifications for a 4 to 20 road crush that we provide for the county Nihil roads. Council instructed administration to bring back recommendations to propose the gravel at the cost recovery rate. Nihil County currently has Delia gravel stockpiled at the following locations: Trochu North, Three Hills Shopyard, Hiller stockpile, Redland stockpile site, and the Delia pile itself. Administration is recommending to hold a gravel blitz days at the Trochu North stockpile, Three Hills site, Hiller stockpile, and the Redland stockpile sites. This would see gravel sold at these locations and possibly other government agencies to purchase this gravel at a recovery rate of $19 per ton. Administration also recommends that the county cancels the current agreement with R&D Pilot Trucks Limited for the hauling of gravel to the Hiller stockpile and enter into an agreement to sell the remaining gravel located at the Delia pit at the cost recovery. Approximately 40,000 tons remains at this site. Gravel would be sold at the cost recovery rate of $19 per ton. There is no penalty for canceling the current contract with R&D Pilot Truck Limited. And by doing so, we will reduce the cost of hauling gravel in the 2022 operating year from the Delia pile to the Hiller stockpile site. The new contract with R&D Pilot Truck Limited would be entered into to sell the remaining of the gravel located at the Delia pit at a cost recovery. The council cancels the current agreement with R&D Pilot Truck Limited for the hauling of gravel to the Hiller stockpile and enter to an agreement to sell the remainder gravel to the located at the Delia pit at a cost recovery. And council also approves the holding of the gravel blitz days to sell the remainder of the stockpile gravel located at Trochu, Three Hills, and Hiller stockpile and Redland stockpile sites for the cost recovery rate of $19 per ton. The council will direct the administration to bring back further information and that council receive for this information.
Thanks, Doug. Council have any questions? So we're looking to do this spring, summer?
We've planned on trying to do it twice, have this, the gravel blitz twice a year.
Okay.
Probably after spring seeding and then probably after harvest.
Yeah, let's get some rain on it so it weighs up.
Get things going here.
I'm kidding. Let's just get some rain going, period. Councillor Penner.
Have we had any interest from outsiders, like industry or anything?
Yeah, some of the towns have called in and some of the local, some rumors have been going around about having a gravel blitz and there's been interest in that for farm use and stuff.
Councillor Christie.
At $19 per ton, we're loading it, is that how it works? Are we loading it, or?
Yes, we'll be loading it. That $19 will cover that cost.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Councillor Hugo.
Doug, you said in 2013, the stockpile, it didn't meet our 420 road specs. So if it didn't meet it in 2013, why did we haul it? And why did we keep using it in 2019?
It met in 2013, but when we hauled it when we hauled this fall, we did another test and it wasn't meeting the CIV's requirements.
Follow-up question, Reeve.
Go ahead.
Was there not tests done off the crusher in 2013? So we should have known what it was exactly in that pile, correct?
Go ahead, Lori.
Yeah, through the Reeve, Councillor Hugo. Excuse me, there was testing done at the time that it was being crushed. And from the information that we received, it did show that everything was in spec. However, when we did get into the pile and started hauling it, it showed certain areas that were not. And that's why we're here today to try and come up with some options of disposing of the pile that does not meet our spec.
Okay, and I'm a little concerned about this $19 a ton because I know in 2019, some of the hauling done to the Trochu North was done by a truck and a pup. If we use road builders rate at the 145, even if we take 30% off, we're still at $100 an hour. 3 loads a day is roughly 60 to 66 tons. That's $15 a ton hauling, plus the cost of the gravel, plus the stacking. So you're well over $20 a ton on those haulage. So is 19, I'm just kind of concerned that we're gonna be costing the ratepayers money on this one, and I'm not too sure. I'd like to see more information on the cost that we incurred in 2019 hauling the gravel over here to the stockpiles.
You got any information on that, Lori?
Through the Reeve, Councillor Hugo, all of the internal costs have been gathered, and working with our finance department on the cost of equipment, cost of manpower, cost of hauling, cost of stacking, those were all taken into consideration. And it was recommended by finance and by transportation that $19 per ton would cover all of the costs, including the costs of loading that day to the purchaser.
Okay, next question through the Reeve. In 2019, it was brought forward to council that we were going to use the trucking company to bring over 10,000 tons for $75,000. Was the specs at that time known not to meet it? And if it was, why was this brought forward to council to ask us whether we would agree to this contract?
Got any information, Lori?
Through the Reeve, Councillor Hugo, as far as we knew when we entered that contract in 2019, the stockpile at the Delia site did meet the specifications. So it wasn't, like I previously said, until we started hauling it and got further into the stockpile that it was determined that a good portion of it is not meeting our specifications. And that's why we're here today.
Yeah, through the Reeve again, I'm having a little bit of a problem if it was tested off of the crusher in 2013 and all of a sudden we're going through the stockpiles and it didn't match. There's a drop of the ball in this whole process with us purchasing gravel. Exactly who tests the gravel? Why was it tested? We're into the stockpile, supposedly the same stuff we bought in 2013. And all of a sudden we're not having the right specs. I'm having a problem with this. I don't understand. Like I've hauled gravel, I've hauled sand, and I know when the testing is done, everything is done properly. We know before we even got into the stockpile what we've got. So how is it that the stockpile all of a sudden changed in 2019? Like, so it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it was piled in different piles. There was, well, 4 different piles out there. So this one that we did haul from the remaining pile didn't meet this spec.
Through the Reeve again, yeah. As far as I can see, that's dropping the ball. We're not servicing our ratepayers properly if we are not inspecting the gravel that we are paying good money for, and we expect our ratepayers to pay good money for. I just see that. No, I see a major problem with this. I understand getting rid of the gravel at $19 a ton, and perhaps the numbers will work out with other equipment hauling it. But I'm having a problem understanding how the specs changed from 2013 to 2019, because the specs from the 2013 crush should have been what was in our piles that we purchased. So were they not being investigated, or were they not being looked at, or we weren't taking enough samples? I'm not too sure on this. I'd like to see more information on, even bring forward the 2013 tests and the 2019 tests. I'd like to see this stuff. And I'd also like to see the financial numbers and how they're calculating the $19 a ton. So I'd really like to table this for more information.
Okay, is that a motion to table?
Yes, sir, it is.
Table for what?
More information on the financials and how the specs changed from 2013 off of the crusher to 2019 in the stockpiles.
Okay, there is no discussion on a tabling motion. We are actually not here to discuss why the gravel doesn't meet spec. We were here to, the RFD is to sell gravel through a gravel blitz days. So, I'm not Lori, can you guide me on which way we should go on this? I mean, it is a tabling motion, so, okay, let's call the question then. All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is defeated, so we will go back to the original RFD here. From what I can tell, our staff has come back with us to sell gravel at 19 bucks a ton at these different sites. I think that's what our discussions center around. I don't believe, yes, Lori?
I appreciate, through the Reeve, I appreciate your concern, Councillor Hugo. It could be a situation, and I'm not certain because I wasn't part of that at the time, and I don't think anybody in the room here is, in 2013, that the tests weren't as regular of intervals as what we have right now. I can assure you that the standards that we do have in place right now when we are crushing are a lot more stringent, and we are ensuring that that spec is consistently met off of the crusher. So that's about the only information that I can provide. At the end of the day, it was determined that this gravel is not suitable for our county operations, and we're trying to give council some options of how we can dispose of it, but also maybe provide a bit of a benefit to our ratepayers locally, and move forward.
Thanks, Lori. Councillor Christie.
One of the comments I guess I want to make is that we know that this gravel is right at grade or just below, but our new gravel that we have coming, that's a massive pile of our own gravel, should be much higher quality than what we have. So it doesn't make sense to use marginal gravel when we have really good gravel coming. That would be my sentiment on this.
Councillor King.
I hear what Councillor Hugo is saying, and certainly I have some similar concerns in terms of how we could have bought a product that supposedly was inspected as it was being piled, and then once we move that to our own location, discover that it's no longer acceptable. And I guess there are some questions in terms of how that process went about, and I don't know that the information is available to us here, but certainly I think some of the concerns that Councillor Hugo has expressed are indeed valid. I also recognize the comments that Councillor Christie just made concerning the new gravel that we have that's being sourced within Nihil County and the quality of that comparative to the stuff that we currently have piled. So yeah, I'm in agreement that no, we don't want to use the gravel that we currently have piled, and that because we have an alternative, I'd certainly like to see us using that alternative. I do have a little bit of a concern about the cost of this gravel. When I first heard about the gravel blitz days and the potential to sell this gravel at cost, I anticipated that our costs would be slightly lower than what they're showing up here. When I think about purchasing gravel, this gravel has a very specific, limited number of uses. And so it may be difficult at that price to move it and get it out of our stockpiles. I know where I'm sitting, I can get some pretty high quality sundry gravel delivered in my yard for about 25 bucks a ton. And it's quite different than this stuff. So I have some concerns where we're ending up here. Like, I thought the price was going to be perhaps lower than what we're seeing here. And so it is a bit of a concern to me in terms of the possibility of whether we're actually going to be able to move this gravel in this way. And I guess the only thing we could do is try and see. And just see what's out there. And of course, we don't have the information that administration has in terms of who's inquiring and who's asking and how much interest there is. So Counselor Hugo, I hear your questions, and I certainly, I support asking those questions. And I would like to see additional information, but I don't want to postpone the decision on the gravel blitz itself. So those are just some of my comments at this point. I have some concerns about where we ended up here and how we ended up here, and certainly I reflect the concerns being raised by Councillor Hugo in terms of the process for how we ended up here, but we're here. That's the reality. We are where we are. Do we delay trying to move this gravel, seeking more information, or do we just go ahead and do it? And so that's where I'm sitting right now.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions to do with moving this gravel? I think we did have interest from a private contractor to purchase a bunch of this, did we not? And we chose to let our residents have the first opportunity. So there is interest in it, I guess, is where I'm going with that. So, but we want to give the opportunity to our residents to be able to purchase it, and then if that doesn't pan out, then we can probably go to a private contractor who is willing to purchase. Anything to add, Lori?
Through the, no, I think definitely if council does choose to proceed today with the recommended motions, we will certainly bring all of the information back to you regarding the outline of the plan, but also the success of the first round this spring and then council can choose to make any more modifications to the program going forward.
Okay. I know in the supplemental information we have the SIV analysis report, which is basically doesn't tell me anything, but then I'm not a SIV analysis report kind of guy. But the information is there, so. What are council's wishes? Councillor Penner.
I'd make the first motion that council direct administration to cancel the current agreement with R&D Pilot Truck Limited for the hauling of the gravel to the Hill stockpile and enter into an agreement to sell the remainder of the gravel located at the Delia pit at a cost recovery.
Okay, we have a motion before us to cancel the current agreement and to sell the remainder of the gravel at cost recovery. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing not, I call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
I think he had his hand up at such a time you could call unanimous, just in case you wanted to.
Oh, did you vote for yay or nay? Sorry.
You can't see me?
Yeah, no, I can see you, but I didn't see. Okay, I'm going to give you a little more time before I call it. So you are in favor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that was unanimous. We have another motion before. Deputy Reeve McGee.
I'd like to move that we direct administration to implement a gravel blitz days to sell the remainder of the stockpile gravel located at Trochu North, Three Hills Yard, Hiller Stockpile, and Redland Stockpile for cost recovery rate of no more than $19 per ton with priority to the residents of Nihil County.
All right, so we're just a little change in the motion. I'll wait for that to come up on screen. I think just priority.
Maximum rate of $19. With priority to Nihil County residents. Sorry.
All right, is that the way you would like that motion to read, Deputy Reeve McGee?
Yes, thank you.
All right, is there any discussion to that motion? Councillor Keever.
Just out of curiosity, Doug, does this stuff weigh more per ton than good gravel or less per ton?
No, a tone's a tone.
But it will retain the water more than the like if it was a sandy-based gravel, it would dissipate the water better, whereas this clay-based clings to the water, so it, like the pile at Trochu, I dug into that last fall after it'd been sitting there all summer, and you could make a glob of mud out of the clay.
The density'd be different.
Yes, the density.
I don't want any.
All right, is there any other discussion of the motion? Questions? Seeing as not, call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Council.
Our next agenda item is 5.1.1, naming of county roads, policy 5-19. Welcome, Ms. Hazelton.
Good morning, Mr. Reed, members of council. So this has been a joint department project between transportation, myself, and Carolyn. So administration brought this draft policy to the January 19th committee of the whole meeting. Administration received a request from a ratepayer asking to name the service road on their country residential development property south of Linden. They were having difficulties receiving packages to their home as there were no clear signage for delivery trucks. And that he's not the only person that's had that issue. Administration realized that we need to have a policy in place to ensure all requests like this are dealt with in a consistent manner. Administration wants to reiterate that this policy only applies to roads that are not part of the existing township range road grid. Roads that are part of this existing grid will be provided their normal number based on the grid. The benefits of this policy is that residents who currently live on an unnamed road will have better servicing to their property, which could include emergency vehicles and delivery services. The process for these applications will be as follows. Once we receive an application, it will be circulated throughout the organization for comment. A letter to adjacent landowners will be sent out for comment. The application will be advertised in the local newspaper for comment. Administration will prepare a report for council, including all the comments, and council will then review the application and make the decision. Transportation will then purchase and install signs and work with Alberta Transportation for signs along primary highways. Designated road names will be included in the future editions of the county map, and they'll also be outlined in Appendix B, where we will keep a list of anything that has changed. Administration has identified at least 14 unnamed roads and will bring them to council one at a time for approval. This project won't have any impact on the operating budget as the road signs are already budgeted, but our recommended motion is that council approve policy 519, naming of county roads as presented.
Are there any questions for Barb? Councillor Christie.
So when the roads are renamed, that'll change the blue sign designation or not?
It could potentially, yes, on some of them, and we would do that internally.
Ultimately, I think if there is blue signs there, they would be township and range road signs.
Right.
These are for roads that have no identification to
Yeah,
them.
but they would have people that have blue signs already, but
Oh,
like
okay,
in
address
that
signs.
case, like in
Sorry.
the case of this one specifically, it's off 806.
Yes, okay.
And so that's where there's a lot of confusion because they aren't actually attached to 806. They have a service road that takes them off. So we would name the service road, and then at this point, there's two parties in there that signs would need to be changed. So yes, that would happen, and it would get into the address grid as per
Okay.
GIS.
Okay, I wasn't thinking of the actual
Yeah.
rural address signs, I was thinking of the township range road
Yeah,
signs.
and those are staying the same. We're not touching any
Yeah.
of those, and we're not giving anyone the opportunity to make a request on those. This is just those weird dangles that have been added or left when diversions happen or those types of
Yeah.
things, or the service
Country
roads.
residential where there's a,
Going forward, in a country residential, we will be asking the developer to name those when they actually do that application. And so we won't have that issue going forward, but it's just to kind of clean up some of these that we have, or we see, I guess, that are problematic.
Okay. Are there any other, that answered your question, I do believe, Councillor Christie, yes?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
right.
Sorry, I broke in there, but,
Yeah, no problem.
any other questions? Councillor King?
I don't have a question, but I'm prepared to make the motion that council approve policy 5-19, naming of county roads as presented.
Okay. We have a motion before us to approve policy 5-19. Is there any discussion to that motion? Councillor Penner?
Just further to what you said there, Barb, with any new developments, would they be entitled to name those roads, or would that come back to council for the naming of that?
Well, it would get approved through their plan that council would approve. Like you would approve the redesignation, but then if it's a multi-lot, they would have an outline plan that you would have to approve. And so it would become part of that. So this one in particular has an outline plan attached to it. And so the potentials, we're just going to name it the name of that outline plan. And that's probably what will come back to you for approval. But going forward, it will be part of their process and you guys will see that, so.
And we've had, obviously, I've read through it and there is criteria for what the names can be. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Seeing not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Barb. Our next agenda item, 5.4.1, mutual aid agreements. Welcome, Deb. And anytime you are ready.
Background for this is, historically, we've worked with the counties and surrounding fire departments, emergency management departments in responding to emergency management calls outside of our jurisdiction. The existing agreement with Mountain County is from 2004, and we don't have one. My apologies. Hi, Council. So the background is that we have these existing agreements, one with Mountain View County and then the other one, we just don't have one with Red Deer County. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we have mutual aid agreements with the outside counties. The proposed agreements have language in them that need to be updated. For instance, it's no longer called disaster, it's called an emergency. The proposed agreements actually incorporate fire, emergency management, and peace officers. We haven't had that before, but even right now, the peace officers are going to other municipalities and other counties to help them with some of their road bans. For instance, we have actually Wheatland coming up to help us with road ban enforcement this Friday. So just working with them. The purpose of entering into these agreements is to set obligations of the parties and to work together should local resources be inadequate to cope with the emergency. Within our individual sub-fire agreements with Acme, Carbon, Linden, Trochu, and Three Hills, Section 7 allows us to enter into mutual aid agreements as council deems necessary. And response to any request is at the discretion of the authorized official of the responding party. Financial implications, so there's no further costs with these mutual aid agreements. It would just be out-of-pocket expenses, such as like foam, if that's needed from a fire department. We would get reimbursed for that foam, but there's no paying for personnel from the other response. So council options are to approve the recommended motions as presented, to send back to administration for further direction, or to accept as information only.
Okay, are there any questions from council for Ms. Grossfield? I guess we have other adjoining municipalities, but the contracts we have with them are still valid, or like I'm thinking Rocky View or Wheatland? I know the one with Drumheller would be, but,
We are working through them all.
oh, okay, so you're gonna update them as you go along, okay.
You bet.
Any questions? Counselor Kiever?
I move, we approve the recommended motions as presented.
Okay, so you are moving that council approve emergency services mutual aid agreement with Red Deer County as presented. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Somebody, Councillor Christie.
I'll make the motion to approve emergency service mutual aid agreement with Mountain View County as presented.
All righty, we have a motion before us to approve the Mountain View County agreement. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing as not, call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously also.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Deb. Our next agenda item is 8.1, Economic Development Web Tools and Program Update. Jacqueline's on her way in, all righty.
Probably can get the memo that we took something off the agenda.
I got 3 of them here.
So, the reason I said maximum of 19 per, does that give them the freedom to come down without coming to us, or do we need to still see that everything's down?
I think we're probably right there. Welcome, Ms. Buchanan. And anytime you're ready.
Good morning, Raven Council. Today I am before you to present just a little bit of an information update as to what we've been working on our website for economic development. So we have a number of tools that you have before you. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop through on the website and show you a little bit about more each of them as I walk through the list. So what we're going to be looking at today is our COVID-19 supports for business satisfaction survey, business services directory, interactive municipal map and map listing, Agropreneur Business Spotlight, economic profile, interactive business guide, business training calendar, tourism directory, and residential business and service directory. These are, for the most part, all tools that we completed in-house and that we update in-house with the exception of 2. So there was no additional cost for the majority of them. The 2 that do incur an expense are the economic profile. So we utilize a company called Townfolio in order to get the data. They read the data from multiple different sources. They feed it onto our website. So it's Nihil County specific information. That one costs about $2,600 a year. They are one of the most reasonably priced companies that can provide that to us. The other one that incurs a cost is the interactive map. Now, it doesn't incur a cost. The public side of it is something that is already included in the subscription that we utilize for our back end stuff. So whenever development permits come to you, things like that, that's actually the same program that you're seeing that we use behind the scene. We've been able to add a public-facing component to it so that the community can search the maps in somewhat less detail than we can. Of course, all that confidential information is removed on that end. So if council has any questions before we start, by all means, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just pop into our quick presentation here. Good.
You good to watch the presentations, or is there any questions you have beforehand? Okay, very good. Go ahead then.
All right, so when you go onto the website now, you go into your Nihil Living and you can see we have an economic development section of our website now. So that was something that we started, we probably got up and running by June. Christine and I have been, Christine's been, let's say, tutoring me on how to get everything up there and running and taking care of the difficult stuff. I've been implementing everything else and do the updating as well. So the first one we're looking at is, of course, COVID, so COVID-19 for business. The images you see on the attachment that you received, those are actually the social media website newspaper promotions, the actual ads that we use. That's just our consistent. So our COVID-19 supports for business, basically, that's where businesses can come in and they can search information relative only to business. So this is where you can see your COVID updates, your recovery plan. You can go down your funding programs, everything that, whether it's your banks, province, federal funding services, health and safety information, HR information, specific to getting your business through COVID-19. And to please, by all means, anybody stop me if you have questions if we go through. The next one we have, so if we go back, we have our business satisfaction survey. I have to be honest, I knew in the time of COVID getting anybody to complete yet another survey was going to be difficult. I'm surprised how difficult it's been. So by all means, let your constituents know that if they are a business, there is a survey they can fill out. So essentially what we've done with this survey is we've had it in the website, we've had it on social media, we've had it in the newspaper, and we've also done direct mailers to some of the businesses that we have information for, but we are still working on that business directory. Basically, we brought this to council a few months ago to approve the questions. It's to gauge the business satisfaction within the municipality, provide us with important information about sector size and structure, inform strategy and plan development, establish performance measures, and identify the needs of the Nihil County business and allocate services accordingly. So really that's a lot of fancy words to say that's to help me plan my budget and my direction as we move forward, what's going to best support the business community we already have. So residents can go in online, click it. It takes less than 5 minutes to complete. We did it really quick and simple. And you just click that link and that can be completed. To date, we've actually only had 2 respondents. One of them lived in the town of Three Hills. So we have set it up in such a manner that we can separate those out. If we do get those responses back from the urbans in our area, we'll actually just ask if they want it sent back to their own municipality. So moving on, we have our business tools. So this is your business support service directory. So this is, again, all related to businesses in our region. So you can click on any area and it's basically a description of the service that's available to help you and how to contact them. So if we go into our ag businesses and producer resources, it's our AFSC. We have an HR toolkit through AgriHR, which is really comprehensive. Farm Fresh Alberta, it's a promotional service that food producers can use, and so forth, so on. Within that as well, you know, we touch on just general business resources, which are Women's Entrepreneurs, Alberta Innovates, Community Futures, go into education, foreign investment, grants and funding, Nihil County specific, which is our specific department contacts, regulatory, succession planning, tourism, youth entrepreneurs, and employer resources. So by all means, if you hear of any other businesses that or support services that you think are missing, let me know and we'll get them added on there as well. Kind of just a one-stop shop. And then we have our Nihil County maps. So maps actually is one of the most searched things on the Nihil County website in general. Heads above everything else. Not everything else, I mean, Keever's Horseshoe Canyon, depending on the season, those kind of top it off as well. But what we did is we really just had our general Nihil County and our development maps in there. So what we've done is we've added a comprehensive listing of maps that businesses, developers, even residents may need to support their businesses. So we have our intermunicipal maps on there. We have energy maps, servicing, utilities, transportation. These are all things that when businesses call us, they say, oh, hey, you know, do you have this, do you have that? Again, now we have it all in one place. So with that as well, as we said, we've released the public side of our MuniSite mapping. So anybody can log in as a guest. You accept the terms and agreements. And once you're in here, you can search the county. I'm not gonna lie, it's not super user-friendly, so if anybody has something really detailed they need to do, it's still gonna be best to contact myself or development. But you can see a lot about your property while you're on this map. So it's your lot, block, location. You can look at assessments. You can look at roads, pipelines, water lines. There's a lot of information there that is just super helpful to business. Again, normally you would be contacting the office and asking us to develop or print something off for you. So, like I said, and then this is what we use on our end. As you see all the maps come forward in your documentation, we use the much more detailed portion of this on our side every day. And this is the one, like I said, there's technically not an additional cost to release it to the public. It was already included in our subscription. Any
So when you get into a private user, would it actually show the landowner?
Yes and no. It shows legally, actually that is a no. So this is basically what you see on your side. So if I was looking at it on my end, I see your contact information, who the owner is, all of that detail. On the so in order to use this, you need to have a really good idea of where you're looking, because you can't pull it up just by name. So you could pull it up by role or lot, block, and plan, which is also how you would do assessment stuff regularly. And then it shows you assessment stuff, things like that. Just the public info, and what we did before we released this is we actually did a quick audit internally. We sent it through the departments and said, hey, search for stuff and see if anything pops up that shouldn't be there, just to verify that all of the FOIP information and confidential information's out of it. Yeah, so that's that one. Another one we've done is our Agropreneur Business Spotlight. So that one has been pretty successful thus far. I'm pretty excited about that one. So to date, we've actually now done St. Anne's Ranch and Benedict Beef. So as we look at the numbers, so the Benedict Beef article, basically the process is you fill out an application, you submit it, we use that application in order to write the article to highlight your business. Really more to, this is less on the advertising side and more on the entrepreneurship and business support, and congratulations, to really let the community know what's in our own backyard, because we have some pretty amazing stuff here. So what happens is they fill out the application, they send it to me, we put together the article, and we schedule one a month. So once they're scheduled, it's in the newspaper, in the ratepayer newsletter, on our website, and on social media. So when we look at the numbers for it alone, so Benedict Beef ran in January. They reached 7,500 people just on Facebook alone, because that's the easiest one for me to measure. And they had 1,100 people engage with the post. So they've clicked it, they read it, they liked it, they shared it, any of the above. St. Anne's Ranch, we ran in February. It reached 8,800 people and had 1,300 engagements. Coming up for, I believe it's going in this week's paper, we're going to be doing Digger's Greenhouse, and then next month we'll do Goodnight Encampment. So really positive feedback, and it's getting a lot of shares. I mean, it's definitely, I'm hearing from people all over central Alberta that are messaging us about it, and just some really good feedback. And I think there has definitely been an increase in traffic to their own websites and their own information as well. So spread the word on that one. Make sure if you know of a farm, a producer, an agripreneur, anybody in the region that you think, really is deserving to have the spotlight shined on them, send them along the information.
And this is at no cost to our ratepayers.
This is no cost to the ratepayers. So first priority is being given to agribusinesses, and then we'll get as many in there as we can. Like I said, we'll do once a month. What I'm trying to do right now is alternate it. So, you know, whether it's a tourism business or something else on one month and then your agri on the next month. Again, we're not getting a lot of applications in without me contacting them and saying, hey, I really want this application. The application is really important because that's where we're getting the details about their business. That's also where they're signing off stating that they're giving us approval to spread their name everywhere. So really, really successful. When you compare the numbers to some of the other stuff we do, it's had a really great response. And these guys deserve the shout out, right? We have some amazing businesses here, and it's awesome to really say, look what we're doing. As we move on, we have economic profiles. So that's the one I said we do through Townfolio. It's basically just the data and stats on our region. So very interesting to ratepayers, really important to businesses as they're looking at growing, expanding, relocating, whether they want to diversify a market. All the details are here. So essentially what this does is it takes all, especially we all know how complicated and sometimes frustrating it is to figure out stats can data. They take all this information and just put it into a really easy to use tool. With the company we chose as well, we can customize some of the data and put some of our own information in as we need it. So for example, they customized some agriculture information for us, which I think we're the first municipality they've ever done that for, but to show some of the ag stuff in the region. As well, we were able to go in and put some of our own development information as well, which is something that's not usually tracked on the provincial side. So, and from there we have our interactive business guide. So the business guide again, so this is for anybody looking at doing business in the region. Again, whether you're growing, expanding, doing something new, you just want to know what's happening. Did I lose it? Oh, right there. Oh, that would have been embarrassing. So we've done this through Issue, which is the same program that we do the ratepayer newsletter in. The reason we do this is because it's then interactive and I can literally just re-upload it whenever I want and nobody will ever know the difference. So we can update it in real time. So as you go through here, it's about Nihil County, our access to market, our location, some of the data on the region. We're half updated for the 2021 year. We're still waiting on some things like we need our tax rate bylaw and stuff to go through. As soon as that's done, again, I just do a quick upload, no links or anything change. We've also gone through and we featured each of our municipalities. They assisted us in writing each of these articles about them. Because when it comes to business, they don't, you know, the average person doesn't look at those borders. So it's important that we kind of work on that as a whole. And then we have our, again, more business supports, our contacts for our business development team. So that's essentially your leadership team. They kind of come to the table when we have, you know, some of those big businesses call and answer all those questions. And some easy click contacts and links to the website. Again, if there's anything that you would like to see in here, let me know. We can update this one pretty simply and get it on there. And visitor section. So it's summer, we're going into the summer season, so we're gonna see a lot more of this one. So what we've done is we've completely revamped the visitor page. I think we're gonna be doing some more work on it over the season as we look at our regional tourism initiative as well. But essentially what we've done is we've done a full asset inventory of the entire region in terms of tourism. So if you go to our things to do list, anybody traveling to the region again, travelers don't look at those borders. So it's important that we have everything combined together, because if somebody's going to be driving an hour to do anything in Nihil County, they need to be able to spend 3 hours while we're here. So this is really just to help them plan their trip while they're here. We've broken it into kind of your key tourism things, as well as some of the primary ones around the region. So for example, your Drumheller, Horse Thief Canyon, things like that, that are really still somewhat included in the destination of Nihil, even though they're outside of the boundaries. And then it takes you to the contact sheet where you can get their address, links, everything like that. That again is a work in progress. We're constantly updating that one.
Excuse me, Jacqueline. Excuse me.
Councillor Penner.
Just as we're going through here, you're just talking about the inventory. And any of the businesses that are outside the county that we're promoting here, have they invested financially or anything like that towards any of this stuff?
At this point, nobody's invested financially into any of this. However, as we look at doing tourism in tourism programs moving forward, those will be further conversations to be had. Just like our tourism operators don't necessarily pay to get promotion through Canadian Badlands or through Travel Drumheller. I mean, there's of course the membership for them, but they do the promotions whether you're a member or not. So for example, Travel Drumheller has done a number of travel itineraries that come up through Nihil County into Red Deer County back around, and there's no cost for the operators on that. As we get further into campaigns and we're starting to look at things like content creation, development, promotion that way, those are other conversations that may be had, because when we're putting financial money towards that, we definitely want to ensure our ratepayers are getting, you know, their bang for the buck on that one. Any other questions on visitors? Nope.
Looks like we're good.
All right, we also have implemented a training calendar. So I rarely actually see it from this side, so it'll be kind of interesting. So what this is any free or inexpensive training that's available to businesses in the region. So we work with a lot of partners every day that do a lot of training and a lot of programs that are available to all of our ratepayers. So what we finally said is, you know, let's just make it easy for them to get this training, because once that training's implemented, we benefit from it as well, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to implement the training ourselves, and that education is going out to our businesses. So we compile it every month. We do one social post about, this week we'll do one for April to say, hey, this is what's going on. We update it regularly. So these are your Travel Alberta, your Business Link, your Community Futures, women in STEM, programs like that that are, you know, of general interest to businesses in the region. And we get promotion. I should actually mention as well, all of this business stuff, the Three Hills and Chamber usually shoots out for us as well. Community Future shoots it out. So we get a lot of share on it. Local food directory, which is near and dear to everybody's heart. So we've done a lot of updates on this one this year. So this is where we're kind of, again, really promoting and supporting those businesses we have in the region. We have a lot of food producers in the area. So we've updated this page and this information. Right front and center is where you can actually pretty easily source Nihil County product. And then again, you go into the directory page, where it's the listing of all of the businesses within Nihil County and our area that do local foods and food production. And we're going to be putting a lot more focus on that over the next couple of years as well, because again, we have some amazing, you know, once we sit down and start digging through the paperwork, we have some pretty amazing producers out there. And so another one, so we've been talking specifically about business to this point. Another one we do though is sort of quality of life, because I mean, if people live in a region, there's an expectation that there's going to be services for them, their medical, their health, their education. As well, the other things that are important to that residential piece is things to do, things to, you know, how are the kids, recreation, spending their time. So we've started the business and service directory as well. I've mentioned to council in the past, we are working on a business directory. It's very, very complicated. Hopefully we're going to make some strides in the next couple weeks here, because one of our partner is actually moving forward and buying some business data, and hopefully that's going to get us a little further. But this is where you actually can figure out, you know, places to stay, you know, the church directory, your independent community services directory. If I move to Nihil County, where can my kids go to school? Where do I get groceries? Things like that. Again, a work in progress. We're going to be constantly updating this one. So right now, we focus Nihil County, Acme Carbon, Drumheller, Huxley, Kneehill County, Linden, Three Hills, Torrington, Trochu, Wimborne. And it's not all businesses, it's those primary services for now. And I think that's it for my web tour. Just to give you guys a little bit of stats as well, because who doesn't like numbers? I did just pulled some quick analytics from our website just to see how some of this stuff was being used. So something like the Agropreneur Spotlight, the actual page where you got the information for the Spotlight, and this was before we actually featured any of the Spotlights, we had 90 views. COVID for business, 232, economic development in general, and an additional 140. So that means they're landing on the home page, not the specific page. Economic profile was about 113, local foods 99, maps 3,043, and things to do 1,188. All of those, so the only ones we had last year to compare to were the maps and the things to do. Everything else is new. And then in our social media feeds, there's been, I'll just go through the bigger ones. So the COVID-19 relaunch assessment that we did was 245. COVID for business, when we promoted that, there was about 109 clicks on it. Agropreneur and Business Spotlight, we already chatted about, so that was the 1,100 and the 1,300 because we've done those 2 posts for now. And the business calendar is 52. So this data was collected just over a month ago for approximately from May until February-ish when we started. Any questions?
There's certainly a lot of information in here. Councillor Christie.
On your maps where you talk, is just farmland assessment, it won't have anything on the linear assessment per quarter. Like it has the pipelines and all that kind of stuff if you access the map part, but it won't have the linear assessment on those quarters.
Not that I believe so. It's what you're going to see on that end is specific to a landowner. They can click it and see what that information is based on. So what's up there now would be based on the letter they received last year. So none of the specific details.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Councillor Penner.
Just a question as I'm going through, as you're doing it here, business and service directories. Is there any reason why the community of Swalwell isn't in there? You have a community hall?
Probably I just didn't create a link for Swalwell there. The community hall, and I know the community hall is there, so I can put the I can put it in the listing as Swalwell.
Right. And also the diamond, the baseball diamond is there.
Yeah, when you go into our tourism directory, you'll see that. So we'll just add the link to the service directory page. Again, I probably just didn't think of it because we're talking doctors and Swalwell. So we'll add Swalwell to the directory.
Deputy Reeve McGee.
Just a comment. This council, when we first were all together after October, we went up for our first elected officials education program, and a handful of us all attended the economic development session. And since that point, we have had big dreams of how that would look, and you're nailing it. And we really appreciate that this thought that we had from way back then is coming to fruition, and it has great momentum. So I appreciate the work, and I think I appreciate our colleagues here as a council for making this happen for our residents.
Thank you.
Well, there's been a lot of work put into it, but like you stated, there's still work to be done. But I think especially when you get into the ag entrepreneurial section, I think as it comes out, I think there'll be a lot more people wanting to be put on the list. So it's quite impressive from what I can see of it now. If there's no other questions, would someone like to do the next part? Deputy Reeve McGee.
I'd like to move that we accept this presentation and update as for information.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've got a motion before us to accept for information. Any discussion to that motion? All right, all those in favor? And that is carried unanimously.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr. Reeve
Jacqueline.
and Council.
Did a fantastic job there, and keep up the typing, I guess, or whatever the process is. Okay, we'll call a recess. Yeah, we can call a recess.
Oh, is it too soon? I can wait.
Well, if we can do a couple more.
That's fine.
All right. All right, so we will do our next agenda item, 8.2. That would be the Royal Canadian Legion. And welcome, Lori.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve and Council. Royal Canadian Legion Military Service Recognition Book. So our recommended motion today is that Council provide support to the annual Alberta Northwest Territory Royal Canadian Legion Military Service Recognition Book with the purchase of a business card size advertisement at a cost of $285 with funds to come from the operating budget. So a little background, a request was made from the Alberta Northwest Territory Command of the Royal Canadian Legion for Nihil County to assist with their annual military service recognition book with an advertisement, support, and messaging. Council has provided support every year since 2008 through the purchase of a business card size advertisement and messaging. Nihil County paid $285 last year for a 1/10 page business card advertisement. So financial implications, like we've talked about already, cost ranges this year are from $285 for the business card size, or we can go to a full color outside page for $2,410. Our source of funding comes under the Recreation, Community Arts and Culture Policy 15-7. Council options are that Council provide support to the Royal Canadian Legion Military Service Recognition Book with the purchase of a business card size advertisement. Council provides support in a different amount, or Council receive for information. Attached to us is the letter of request and the rate sheet, as well as the policy that this falls under.
Thanks, Lori. It's been a number of years that we've been involved in this, and I think it's appreciated by the Legion. So are there any questions for Ms. Watt? What's council's wishes? Councilor Penner.
I'd make that motion. I think I did last year too. I think this is a very valuable resource and it can be found in our schools and everywhere. So I'd make the motion that council provide support to the annual Alberta Northwest Territories Royal Canadian Legion Military Service Recognition Book with the purchase of a business card size advertisement at the cost of $285 with funds to come from the operating budget.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion before us as presented on screen. Is there any discussion to that motion? Councillor Kiever.
I have a question, Lori. Have we ever received a copy of this book?
Through the Reeve, Councillor Kiever, we do get a copy of the book every year, and they are located in our library just outside the offices here. So yes, they are all there.
Yeah, I've actually seen them on our coffee room. They haven't been there for long, but I have paged through it and I've seen our ad, so.
We can grab some for you at break.
Is there any other discussion to the motion? Seeing as not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. And if you can do 8.3, Nihil Regional Partnership, while you're there.
I can do that. So this is to do with Nihil Regional Partnerships, specifically for training partnerships. So our recommended motion is that council submit the following initiative to the Nihil Regional Partnership as options for exploring regionalization or regional partnerships, that being media training for counselors. So a little background, the Nihil Regional Partnership is a group composed of representatives from Nihil County, the town of Three Hills, town of Trochu, Village of Linden, Village of Acme, and Village of Carbon. The Nihil Regional Partnership exists to explore ways in which the members can provide services or programs jointly with the intent of providing services within the region more efficiently and economically. The partnership also provides another forum for sharing ideas and creating the ability to pursue opportunities regionally that may not be feasible for a single party to pursue alone. The third focus of the partnership is to provide training opportunities for its membership. The partnership has contacted member municipalities and asked for ideas that the members would like the partnership to organize for training. Ideas forwarded to the membership must be backed by a council resolution from that member. Administration is recommending that Nihil County submit the following idea for partnership review exploration to the Nihil Regional Partnership, and that be media training for counselors. Options are council may add or remove items from the list that we've just stated as they see fit, or council receive this as information.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Are there any questions? So the process will be, we will put this towards the Nihil Partnership Group, and they will determine whether or not, where it fits into our upcoming partnership talks.
Yep, that's correct. And I believe the next partnership meeting is March 31st? Right, correct.
Okay. What's council's wishes here? Councilor Christie.
I'll make the motion to submit the following initiative to the Nihil Regional Partnership as options for exploring regionalization and regional partnership media training for counselors.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a motion before us as up on screen. I think media training for counselors is an important thing, and I think it will go forward with the group. Is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried unanimously.
Thank you, council.
And we have a public hearing coming up at 10, so I will now call a recess, and we will be back at 10 for the public hearing. groups speaking to the proposed bylaw. Sixth, after hearing from the persons on the speakers list in support or in opposition, I will ask if anyone present wishes to speak in support or opposition to the proposed bylaw. The applicant will get a chance for rebuttal, which will be no longer than 10 minutes. And eighth, allow questions for clarification from council members to the applicant. I will now ask our Planning and Development Department to come forward to make the presentation. Welcome, Ms. Hazelton, and anytime you are ready.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. Reeve, members of council. So we've had a request by a landowner, Ian Robertson and Hongling Zhu, to redesignate a piece of property from Hamlet General to agriculture. So this is approximately a 4-acre parcel. The plan number is 5899 GW within a portion of the southwest of 35, 33, 26 west of 4, and as I said, from Hamlet General to Ag District. As per the requirements in the Municipal Government Act, we have advertised, we've exceeded what's required, and we have advertised in the Three Hills Capital. We have notified all the adjacent landowners and put it on the Nihil County website. So the applicants would like to raise a few farm animals for their own food source, and they also potentially find it more saleable if it is zoned agriculture. So a summary of the location, it is Plan 5899 GW, which is a really old plan. Portion of the southwest of 35, 33, 26, north of Wimborne. It's off of Township Road 33-5, approximately 1/4 mile east of Highway 805. The total parcel area is 4 acres. And as you can see, the location, this is agriculture. Oh, my mouse is not going to. Everything around them is agriculture district. So history of the location, so just some interesting facts. Power came to Wimborne in 1949. Subdivision for that parcel was approved in 1955. In spring, the old school closed, and in fall, this new school opened. So it was the Wimborne school site. And then that school actually closed in 1979. So Bylaw 923 amended the land use bylaw 1913 to rezone 3 lots to Hamlet General. So, and those lots had the school site. What you'll see in hatch marks, there's 3 lots there, the curling rink and the old skating rink. And so it just gives you a little bit of a timeline of the history around there. They had quite a few elevators that were located in the right of way, and there were some stockyards as well there. So planning considerations, this parcel was not part of the original hamlet of Wimborne. It is not serviced through the hamlet at all. It's not contiguous to any existing hamlet parcels, and it is completely surrounded by agriculturally zoned parcels. It was not zoned Hamlet General until after the school closed, so the zoning actually took place, and it was finally signed in January of '81, so the school closed in '79. And as fascinating as the old council minutes are, I could not find a reason why they chose to do that. So I did go through a lot of minutes around that era just to see what I could find, and I could not find anything. So it's going back to the original land use district, and it would basically be treated as a normal subdivision out of the ag district. The uses would be more consistent with the location, and the land and the acreage to the south is all zoned ag as well. So here's some of the historical maps. So the 1930 map, as you can see where Wimborne actually was, there was a couple lots added just to the north of the contiguous hamlet there. And then you will see 1962, it's still not part of that. It never really was officially put into the hamlet. It was only those parcels were rezoned, but they weren't ever officially surveyed as part of the hamlet. Under the municipal development plan, agriculture objectives and goals are really to encourage the diversification and innovation in the agricultural sector, to permit alternative farming practices, providing they meet required federal and provincial regulations, to encourage the agricultural industry to employ practices that protect and enhance the environment and natural resources such as water, air, and soil. The purpose is also to preserve better agricultural land and to provide areas for the conduct, accommodation, and continuation of a wide range of agricultural and compatible uses. This is located along a well-developed road, and it would be compatible with adjacent land uses. So I just wanted you to have a little bit to compare. So currently, the permitted uses for the Hamlet General District are really minimal, but as you see in the discretionary uses, there's a lot of things that could potentially go there that probably aren't as in keeping with the agricultural district as we would normally do. And so that would be the uses that are currently attached to that parcel. And then we'd be going to the agricultural district, which would be, these are the permitted uses for the agricultural district. And again, the discretionary uses for the ag district. And here's a photo of the old school. And then to date, we've received no letters in favor or in opposition. And we had several agencies respond, and none of them had any concerns with this either. That ends my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Barb. Does council have any questions for the planner? Okay, seeing none. Well, I'll ask for the applicant to come forward and make your presentation, but you just did.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming council doesn't have any questions for the applicant that's in front of us again. Okay, you have stated that no one has come forward with written submissions, so I can skip that. There's no one on the individual speakers list in favor of the bylaw, so I can go skip through that. Individuals speaking as a group, I don't see any of that on our group speakers list. Written submissions in opposition, there were none.
Nope.
Individuals in order that they appear on the individual speakers list in opposition to come forward, there are none. Individuals in the order that they appear on the group speakers list in opposition, I have none. And I will now ask one final time if there is anyone else present who wishes to speak in support or opposition to the proposed bylaw. And not seeing anyone, does the applicant wish to offer a rebuttal? I remind you, you only have 10 minutes.
Do you want me to take them all? No, I have nothing.
You have nothing? Okay, and is there anything that the council would like to ask the applicant? Yes, Councillor Christie.
I'm just curious, is that a well site north of that site, or what is, there's a circle on the map?
Let me go backwards here. I think there is one in the quarter.
Yeah, what
Yes,
was
there
this-
is.
That circle is a well site,
Yep.
and there was no comment from them.
No. And they're out, like, all the development is outside, and I don't think zoning is much as an issue to them as what development happens within there.
Is that a through road, Barb? Can you go all the way east past the old school?
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for the planner? Applicant slash? No,
And just a comment, those other 3 lots are part of the hamlet, but, so if you just go straight west, there's 2 lots together, and those used to be the curling rink and the skating rink. And then the lot north is part of the hamlet, but then if you go south of there, that larger lot that goes along the top of the hamlet itself and a little ways around the back is ag. So it's very odd that those lots are not contiguous to the hamlet itself. I believe some of them were station grounds initially, and that's why they probably got included. But it is a very odd one that they've put in place later on. But I just thought I'd clarify at this point, those are still remaining in the hamlet zoning anyway.
okay, are there any other questions for the applicant? Seeing not, I will now declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to go back into regular council meeting. Deputy Reeve McGee,
So moved?
Okay, we have a motion to go back into regular council meeting. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, back to our agenda. Are we good? Okay. I did make a, my bad, I put Trochu Housing Corporation into 8.4, but I should have actually gone into 10.3. So our next agenda item will be 9.1, and that being the disposition of delegate and public hearing business. Public hearing we just went through. So welcome back, Ms. Hazelton, and we will now proceed with the next 9.1.
Thank you. So we've just gone through the public hearing for Ian Robertson and Hungling Zoo. They've applied to redesignate that 4-acre portion of the southwest of 35, 33, 26 west of 4 from Hamlet General District to the Agricultural District. So again, as the public hearing is now complete, the council has the opportunity to consider further readings. So we are proposing second and third reading or recommending.
Okay, what are council's wishes? Councillor Christie.
I'll move second reading of a proposed bylaw 1832 for the purpose of amending the land use bylaw 1808 by redesignating a portion of the southwest of 35, 33, 26 west of the 4th Plan 5899 GW from Hamlet General District to Agriculture District.
Okay, thank you. As that is a mouthful, I will state that we have a motion for second reading as presented on the screen. Is there any discussion to that motion? All those in favor? That is carried. Next motion, if anyone cares. Councillor King.
I'll move third reading of proposed bylaw 1832.
Okay, motion's been made to give third reading to bylaw 1832 as presented on screen. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing as not, call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, thanks, Barb.
Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item is council and committee reports. Community Futures Wildrose, Nihil Regional Family and Community FCSS, I guess, would be the easier way to say it. And are there any questions with reports, minutes that are presented in front of us? Anyone like to add anything? Give you the opportunity to go through it. I think Councillor Christie, you gave us a pretty good verbal last time.
Yeah, I covered
these
the
minutes.
triple RF funding, and we have a meeting next week, so I haven't heard any more than that. The deadline will be now closed for applications, and I'm not sure where they landed at the end of the day.
Okay. Everybody's good with the FCSS minutes? Okay, Councillor King, you had asked to do a verbal on Trochu Housing Corporation. That was last night, I take it?
Yes, Councillor Christie and I had the pleasure of attending a Trochu Housing Corporation meeting yesterday afternoon. If anyone's interested, they have this It's some diagrams and pictures, what they're handing out to the people who are buying or looking at life lease in the Trochu housing facility. So it's quite interesting if you're wanting to have a look at that. I think the highlights of the meeting yesterday is they reported they have 14 commitments out of 24 on the life lease. And so in 2 weeks' time, basically, they're over 50% sold. And they're continuing to have sales meetings every Monday. And so they are very active. They are moving quickly towards accomplishing what we've asked them to do. And they're currently waiting to see when the grant funding is going to open, but they're not sitting on their hands. They're in constant conversation with the MLA, the MPs, the ministers that they need to be talking to so that everyone's aware that they're coming, everyone's aware that they're going to put in an application, and they're doing everything in their power to facilitate a positive answer to that. They are considered a shovel-ready project, and so they are anticipating a relatively positive response when they put in their application. And their partnerships that they've formed with ourselves now and Covenant Health and a number of other individuals, I think, are going to work to their benefit. So just thought I'd bring you up to date. They are actively promoting and actively selling their life leases, and they're not seeming to have much trouble in terms of uptake. So the commitments that they have are basically cash deposit commitments. So the people that are committing are putting down their money and signing contracts. So just thought you'd be aware, would like to be aware of that. And I guess, Councillor Christie, have you anything to add?
No, I think you covered everything well. The support they're getting is quite positive, so I think they're on their way if they can get the provincial and federal government to step up. And with all their affiliated groups that they're working with AHS and Covenant Health, it just helps their presentation to government.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Would someone like to receive council and committee, make a motion to receive council and committee reports for information? Councillor Penner?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to receive council and committee reports for information. All those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Next agenda item will be the council follow-up action list. Any questions on that? Yes, Councillor King.
Have we had any response on the survey on the water east of Three Hills at all? Have we heard anything at all yet?
Through the Reeve, Councillor King, I think there has been some. John updated me on Friday, and I believe we had received 5 back. So there are starting to come in. I expect hopefully this week. We've seen a few more come in for sure. What they say, I'm not sure, and we'll provide all of that information to council as soon as the survey results are compiled.
Okay, and there is a timeline on that survey?
Yes, Reeve, I believe it's March 26th is where we had asked for a response.
Yeah, I think I saw that someplace, but I just wanted to reinforce. Are there any other questions on council action lists? How are we doing with the bins at Redland?
We are doing okay. We have a company engaged right now that has started the process of dismantling. I believe their crane should be on site within the next month. They are a little bit backed up with their other projects to date, but within the month here, we should see all of that coming down, and then we can move forward with disposing of them individually.
Okay. Councillor King.
I'd make the motion to receive the council follow-up action list as presented.
Okay, we have a motion before us to receive council follow action list as presented for information. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay, that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. We have one item for closed session, 12.1, personnel, FOIP sections 1-7. Would someone like to move us in camera, or into closed session, sorry. Councillor Christie.
So moved.
Motion's been made to move into closed session. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll adjourn at 11:07. Didn't have my mic on.